Greetings. Hey, it's Susie Q here. We're working with QHHT, Quantum Healing Hypnosis Technique, the work of Dolores Cannon. I'm a level 2 practitioner in sunny Scottsdale, and I absolutely love these practices. And I was so inspired back in September of 2015 is when I started to get more guidance from Dolores Cannon. I never met her. I just got the words Dolores Cannon, and then I woke up in the middle of the night, or actually I woke up the next morning, and then I started looking up who is Dolores Cannon, and so that all started and initiating me in a different way. And so I finally did it a couple of years ago, being a practitioner, and it's been super fantastic. So, when we're looking at some of these things that are in our field, let's just say, we have the interview. It could be 2 to 3, 4 hours of an interview. Person can say whatever they want to say, go into the induction, going in, to the beautiful place, and then just kind of acknowledging they're starting to see things, they're starting to hear things, they're starting to experience things. And so when we're looking at some of these qualities with QHHT, there's all these different levels of QHHT. It's really a pretty comprehensive sense of awareness for a person. When they come in ready, they come in with their questions, they come in with what they would like to have in their field, and they can say whatever they want to say, and it's kind of like a safe place, just like this is what's happening. That's pretty funny. So we look at it says, so I wrote down be agile, shift at the earliest onset of something new. And so when things are happening in these sessions, I do other sessions, the Akashic Records, automatic writing, I do near-death experience integration, and also with what we call walk-ins or other types of spirits. or sometimes the spirits need to go, goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. So anyway, so I work with all of that, and it's fun, and it's pretty passive, and I've been doing it for a number of years. But when I'm looking at this feeling of being agile and then shift at earliest onset of something new, is that we have an opportunity to take a moment, it's like stop, drop, and roll, and then just noticing that some of the stories of your lives, they may be outdated. Maybe they've already expired. Maybe they're no longer there, and you're still operating in some sense of remembrance. And even if you go into something that was, years ago or little you start kind of like looking at some of those stories. And then when I look at the Akashic Records, you're doing overlays over the real event, the first event, the initial event that happened for a person, and you start doing an overlay over the Akashic Records based on little you, knew exactly what was going on, but big you, grown up you, is putting on more stuff with some of the early years, and you just keep pounding, or bringing in new thoughts, new impressions from something when you were 5 or 10. And certainly we know there's been trauma and all kinds of levels of consciousness, and maybe there might have been some other ways of looking at that. But I think when we look at being agile and being ready to have a better experiences, we can start do our very best in these sessions that I do. And we get a little bit more guidance, and then eventually a person has an opportunity to let stuff go. Okay. And letting go for a lot of people is hard because it's part of their persona. It's part of their personality. It's part of their blah, 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 whatever that is for you. But when we start moving into and beginning to release some of these constricted energies that are so powerful that you can't, it's like overpowering your sense of your oversoul or your higher self. It's just saying no to the higher self or your oversoul. And so the more that we go in and really just kind of examine, like, I don't even know what's true anymore, because it might have been 10, 12, 15, 20. Who knows? We've been piling on so much stuff, in our lifetime, and it's hard to really discern, is that real or is it not? Or is it bad or is it good? What do you call it? So I think the best we can do with working with this agile sense of being is that we can safely say the stories of our lives were there, and now we can let it go. We can send that energy, the stories of a person's life, we can send it, and it would be beyond, it would be for them to have that consideration that it's already happened, it's already gone. Some of the players, some of the cast of characters are gone. Maybe new cast of characters came in place of the others, but we just notice and have awareness that the more that you let go of things and you start releasing, erasing, dissolving, sometimes things have to be dissolved. Could be going to a different star system, sending out some of these stories of a person's life, because the more that we continue to reinforce it or build over the original event, the initial cause, it's stacked with all kinds of other projections and other kinds of stuff that's not needed. When I first started doing the Akashic Records, so I did the Akashic Records, QHHT, all this other kind of work. But when I was starting to work with the Akashic Records is sometimes when we're going into a person's records, and sometimes we even in an Akashic reading, when I do this, is we can have a person in a relaxed state. They don't have to be in a hypnosis state. But we just start acknowledging all of the layers that they've put onto their own self with their stories of their lives, even if it was little them or maybe that was a little bit older. But they start stacking up, and the more that they start stacking up, then it's kind of convoluted. You're creating more, especially if it's one big event in earlier lifetime or early childhood. It's just going to keep stacking up because the story continues to go in a different direction based on where we are now, what our age is, what our experiences, what are our understandings. And some things are bad, right? They're bad. But then we can just let that recede from the consciousness. So a lot of times it just kind of slowly recedes from the consciousness, and then all of a sudden that energy is complete. So with this idea of be agile, shift at the earliest onset of something new. And so the more that newness is really that feeling and that sense of, I'm here now. What do I want now? What is it that I'm seeking now? What is it that is the next best thing for me to consider? And how amazing could it be if I could truly allow myself to let some things go? I know that I'll feel lighter. I know that I'll feel happier. And I'll also know that some of these stories and these characters, these different traits and all these different personality types, we've all been there. We've all been there. We have all been in all of these different stages of the Shakespearean or the hero's journey through Joseph Campbell. So all of these things are showing up, but the more that we can, if you can, if you can. Okay, if you can, let some stuff go. And then even if you, like, I had to train myself with how I say things out loud. And then I would start talking about something and I'd say, blah, 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 and I let it go. But then you start kind of like, okay, here's a story, blah, 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 and then there's a blah, 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 and it's gone. So whatever it is that you can do to set aside some time for you to understand, this is a great opportunity to let some things go. You could say goodbye, 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 or you could just say bloop, it's gone. Or you could say blue, the color aqua, magenta. So just work with what you feel is right. But I think for a lot of us, there's a quickening going on with the energies. The astrological stuff is really amping up. And so just kind of lean into having more new experiences, just acknowledging your joy and your pleasure of each moment in this moment of now, the Iman energy. So focus on that. Focus on what you are presently experiencing and acknowledging. And then even with something good, you let it go. Because we know there's going to be more coming. And even if there was some bad stuff, oh, it's leaving, but more bad stuff's coming. But I think whatever we start letting go and releasing the energies, it's just so sweet because we have an opportunity to just be happy, just to be happy and feeling that love of self. And so when we start working with all of these energies, with the different connections and these different states of honoring ourselves through looking at some of the lens of the Akashic Records, some of the lens of the QHHT work that we do, and just let yourself be free to let things go. Freaking let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Okay. So we'll see you soon and namaste.